Well, hello everybody. We're here at the Creepyworld Midway. Look at this goofball. He thinks he's funny.
Yeah, hard work.
Hard work? You mean hardly working. You forgot the L and the Y. Anyway, we're here in Creepyworld's Midway. And this is me, Larry. And I wanted to say that I had an interesting conversation with somebody today who called me. And right now is not a good time to call because we're trying to get open for this Friday. Let me tell you something about the haunted house industry in case you're not aware. Okay. The roughest month, the hardest month is August and September. August is brutal. September is as brutal. It's literally, you better not be going on vacation. You better not be going on a trip. You better not even be going away for the weekend because it's so brutal to try to get your haunted houses up and running. You have to try to get your marketing squared away. You're trying to hire people to work in the haunted houses. You might be getting inspections. You're trying to get everything up and running. It just really is quite the nightmare, let me tell you. And so people who run and operate haunted houses have no time to talk to anybody really in September or August. I mean, August they might say, oh, I still have, a few weeks to go, so maybe they'll pick up the phone. But not in September. Certainly not in September. Do you know when, for a haunted house owner, do you know what one of the easiest times is of your whole year? Believe it or not, it's October. Because you're up, you're running, and you're going. And hopefully, everything's just kind of sort of on cruise control. And then, really, to be honest with you, a bad month is November. Because you're taking care of a lot of year-end stuff. And it's actually kind of a busy month. And you got Thanksgiving in there. You might be, if you're an outdoor haunt, you might be trying to put things away and get things all wrapped up. And it's like, wow, we did all that work just to operate for a handful of days to put it all back away, just to do it all again the following year. But once the Halloween season is over and people get, nestled away for the winter, they immediately start thinking about Transworld. They immediately start thinking about what they're going to do different for 2000 and, at this point, 25. So, but anyway, I'm here at the Creepyworld Haunted Midway, and you can see a pumpkin barn here, photo ops everywhere, and that's our new gift store. No, not our new gift store. It's our new concession stand, and we have a new 5-minute escape over here. And we have a new merchandise booth over here, and the whole thing is merchandise now. And then we have the Jack-o'-lantern festival over there. And then here we have a movie theater, and we have a projector, and we show movies. And actually my son came up with this little setup over here. This is so you can sit here and watch the movie. And you'll see that there's photo ops here and here. And then this is something new. It was an existing space. It had a zombie paintball and a zombie axe throwing, and we eliminated it in favor of this selfie museum that will be absolutely free with a ticket to Creepyworld. And let's just kind of walk through it and take a look. You got Michael Myers, you got aliens. We've added a few new ones since I did a video. There's the Crypt Keeper. And I know it looks super blue on video, but it actually doesn't look super blue in person. There's Nosferatu, and then everybody knows that. It's a big old it from, well, it's not really Pennywise. It's just kind of sort of a spider clown. And then we have a witch. And again, I know it looks super blue, but it's not when you're here in person. Then you got London After Midnight. And see on the wall right here, it literally tells you a description of the different monsters. So there's Dracula description. You've got links to social media. You have Dracula, you have Frankenstein. See, there's another Frankenstein. Wolfman, another Wolfman, Mummy. And see, if you come over here, you can literally read about the mummy. And there is the mummy. Medusa. And then, of course, you got a description over there of a banshee. And then you got this like creature from the Black Lagoon type of character. And then there's Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Jack Skellington, and who knows who that is? Edgar Allan Poe, who's buried in, I think Baltimore, Maryland, maybe. And then the Mothman, and we made a Mothman mini golf. There's a Mothman, and this is the Violator from Spawn. And then look at this. This one looks really cool. And he technically is a demon, just as we described right there. You know, the Terrifier. He's 100% a demon. And there he is. And so this is just kind of a little free attraction. It's an extra attraction. Hold on a second. My screen's a little wet. And it's just a free attraction. Now, the topic for today is how much does it cost to open a haunted house? This is a great question. I get asked this all the time. Now, the reason why I'm in this monster museum is because how much does just this monster museum cost all by itself? And it's free. We're not charging anybody for anything. Well, the monsters were probably around $35,000, maybe $40,000. And then the banner and the design, with everything, it's like $50,000 just to add this little bitty attraction. And you can see how long it takes to walk through it. Nothing at all. Now, the reason why we added this attraction is because a lot cheaper to operate than a haunted house. That I can tell you for a fact. A lot cheaper to operate than a haunted house. So, why do we add this pumpkin barn that you just walk through? I don't know. It's just very Halloweenish, and it's fun. And it's like just kind of an unwinding type of attraction that you experience on your way out. A lasting impression. Maybe you'll grab a photo or two while you're in there. Why did we add the Jack-o'-lantern festival? Another way to create photo opportunities so people could take photos and share them. Hey, let me tell you something. We have 95,000 Instagram followers. That is far and away more than any other haunt, except for one that I know of. That's because we've embraced the idea of a haunted house is more than about getting screams and scares. It's about creating experiences. And so, and then here is the Jack-o'-lantern festival. And we're really big into signs to guide you in, guide you out. And you can see a sign right there, the Midway. And by the way, I want to correct myself on something. Creepyworld has 8 haunted houses, haunted hayride. So there's 9 haunted attractions, okay? Okay, so there's 9. This is 10, Jack-o'-lantern festival. This is 11, okay? The entire haunted Midway, you can count as 12. You can say you have a scare zone, 13. We have a ghoul band, you can say it's 14. You can say the Minute Escape, and this isn't one. It's whatever. It's just a collection of experiences. Does this make sense? So, anyway, the question is, how much does it cost to open a haunted house. And by the way, let's talk about this one specifically, because one of the things that we are looking into, okay, is moving this location. And why would I want to move it? Well, I would want to move it for a lot of reasons. Number one, this is in a flood area. Floods do damage, and it costs a lot of money to repair them, okay? That's one reason. Number two is because it costs a lot of money to set it up every year, and I think what I would rather do is have a haunted attraction where I built the buildings in permanent buildings. Not necessarily the hayride or maybe a corn maze or something, but the rest of the attractions, 100%. I'd like to have them in permanent buildings. So what would it cost me? I can tell you, let's take a peek over here. There's looks like most everything is turned off. But I can tell you that I met with a bank and I flat out asked them to borrow, are you ready for this? $4 million. That would give me the money to buy property, to build buildings from scratch, and to move the haunted house, okay? $4 million. And I also believe that it would take me 18 months to make that move. Whoa! Did I scare you?
I scared you.
Yeah, look at that. I scared him 100%. I seen him jump. Okay, so look over here. And I was explaining something to somebody, how we broke our hayride off. So you have hayride ticket holder and they pay an extra $5 or no hayride. And you know what the benefit of that is? If I'm being completely honest, the benefit of that is that it generates you more revenue because you have the hayride getting an extra $5. But it also makes that less people ride the hayride, which is actually a good thing, because the hayride is a choke point, right? Because you have to board people, you have to get them on and off the hayride. But I'm not going to walk through this thing. And this is our facade for the Monster Mansion. And you know, when we got that big old thing up there, we realized it wasn't strong enough to hold him. If he was animated, it would actually make it bend. So we had to disable and we're gonna have to fix it and make it stronger. And but anyway, whenever you're building a haunted house, you just keep running into problems. You see that that facade right there? I didn't even realize how much money that I would dump into it after it was set up, how much time it would take, and quite frankly, some of it had to be like rebuilt from scratch. And it was just one of those things where that's the haunted house business. You just never know what you're going to get yourself into, and then you realize, oh, that's not going to work, or this is going to work, or you're going to have to make a change. And every time you make a change, it costs more money, a lot more money. And so how much does it cost to open a haunted house? Well, I just told you that I think for me to set this whole place back up the correct way, meaning do it right the first time, would be $4 million. To take Creepyworld and build it anew in a better location that doesn't flood, build buildings and do it right the first time, install the haunted houses and permanent buildings. I think it would reduce the amount of time it takes me to set it up. I think it would actually work better. I would have more parking. Everything would function better. It would also give me the ability to do other things on the property. Like I could do paintball. I could do you know, a daytime Halloween pumpkin festival. Okay, I could do all kinds of stuff, and I could generate more revenue. So if I want to move this place and set up somewhere else at this stage of the game, it probably would cost $4 million. Does it make more sense to stay and deal with all the problems, or move on? And that's the dilemma a lot of haunted house owners have, is they struggle to generate enough revenue to make the haunted house justify doing the haunted house for the amount of effort they put into it. What I find very comical is that people out there make comments about me and say, oh, I'm corporate, all I do is care about money and this and that and the other. Well, you know, nothing could be further from the truth. If you actually come to the darkness, you'll see that the darkness is just chock full of money everywhere you look. It's money, 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 money everywhere. And when you come to Creepyworld, it's the same thing. You can see money being spent all over the place. We're talking millions of dollars. It's not corporate at all. It's actually insulting to say that, and it's just downright misinformed. Okay, because I try to make videos about helping people make good decisions and make more money. Why? Because I know how hard it is, and I'm trying to help people so they can produce a better attraction, produce year-round jobs for some of their staff members, and, you know, at the end of the day, help them pay their own bills. Okay, like pay their car payments, pay to put their, you know, kids through school or whatever it is. It's a tough business. But when somebody asks me hey, I'm interested in buying a haunted house, how much does one cost? Well, they don't actually ask me how much it costs. They just say, hey, yeah, we were wondering if you could build us a haunted house. One of the first questions I always ask them is, what do you think it would cost? So I know they get off the phone very quickly. And I just had somebody tell me $4,000. Oh no, it was $5,000. I was wanting to build a haunted house for $5,000. I'm like, you couldn't even go to Spirits and buy junk there to fill up a haunted house for $5,000. You couldn't even buy paint to paint walls that you can't afford for $5,000. But realistically, what does it cost to build a haunted house? Now, I'm gonna lay it out for you right now. Are you ready? Get your pen, get your paper, okay? Alex? So there's Alex. Nighttime security here at the Creepyworld. So how much does it cost to build a haunted house from scratch? Now, let's assume you're not buying a building, you're renting a space. The cost to build this haunted house is going to grossly vary based on the type of haunted house you're building. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're building a haunted house that's a haunted trail. The cheapest haunted house in the world to build, because you could build little sets here and there. You could put some lighting. They're running around through the woods. Cheapest, 100% cheapest haunted house you could ever build. And you just play on that natural environment. So could you build a really good one for $100,000? I wouldn't say a good one, okay? And I think the cost of what you would pay to build a haunted house would also depend on what you plan on charging. And also how big this haunted house is gonna be. If you're trying to build a scream park at the level of Creepyworld, you know, I just told you, $4 million, okay? Could you build one for $2 million? Probably. But do you know, like, all the stuff that you could run into? You might need to put sprinkler system in. That property doesn't have water. You got to either dig a well. You got to drag sewer and fire hydrants to that property. That could be hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, it can get away from you like super, super fast. Now, if you just go on a piece of property and you do an all outdoor attraction, you don't need any of that stuff. So that's where the price can change very drastically depending on the type of haunt and the type of property you're going into. But let's just say you're gonna go into a 20,000 square foot building. Well, you're gonna need to make sure that that building has a sprinkler system, number one. Number two, you're gonna need an alarm system and you're going to have to spend quite a bit of money to get this alarm system put in. Lots of heat detectors, lots of fire heat detectors. You're going to need a lot of exit lights. You're going to need a lot of overhead emergency lights so people can see. You're going to need a warning system that literally warns people. You might actually go into that building and replace all the doors with brand new panic hardware doors. You might have to do some infrastructure work. I don't know. I haven't seen this building, but let's just say it's perfect. So now that you've gone through the infrastructure part, which would be the security stuff, now you're on to the electric, and you're going to install electric. The best way to build any haunted house is to put the electric in, all the security stuff in first, okay? And you can actually put that electric and just zip tie it up in the ceiling and pull it down once you've built your haunted house. Because it's easier for the electricians to install all this electric, all of these security systems that you might need when there's no maze, you know, so they can literally put scaffolding, roll the scaffolding around and do it and move their ladders around. This is the easiest way to do it. So how much would you spend on all that? And again, it depends. Do you need all new doors, all new panic hardware doors, everything? But I would think that you would easily spend $100,000 on all of that stuff just to get the space ready, and that's assuming it already has good overhead lighting, and it already has sprinkler system. So now you're on to building the maze. What all do you want in this attraction? Now, if you're building it modern, you're going to want to have a nice little indoor queue line, maybe some sort of like mini show there at the end. You really probably would love to have a retail store and some photo ops and things like this on the exit. When you go to, say, Dent Schoolhouse, they've built all these midways and everything, and they're all outside. I bet you they spent $200,000-$300,000 building all that stuff, okay, between the props and everything else. But let's just say you're going to keep this whole thing inside, and you're going to build a 20,000 square foot haunted house. You're already into this thing for at least $100,000 and all the security stuff, easily. Electric. And by the way, you might spend another $50,000 on electric when it's all said and done. Electric's expensive, and you need a lot of it. So now you start to build this haunted house out. It's not that hard to understand what plywood costs, what 2x4s cost to make all these walls that you're going to need for this haunted house. And then you're also going to have to pay labor to put it together. You could easily spend a good $150,000, maybe $200,000 getting the infrastructure of the maze and everything all lined out. So now you're already into this thing for like $300,000. Now you have no props, you have no theming, no lighting, no sound, no nothing. Now you could easily do sound and lighting for probably $50,000. It's not going to be super sophisticated, but you probably could get the whole thing, sound, lights, and you can get all this stuff mostly on Amazon.com, believe it or not. So now you've got lighting, you've got a maze, you're into this thing for like $350,000. Well, do you want a spinning vortex tunnel at the end? Well, you know what that costs. It's like $10,000, $12,000. How many animatronics do you want? How many props do you want? Well, guess what? The more animatronics you buy, the more air compressors you're going to need. Now, I just installed one new air compressor. When it was all said and done, I spent about $38,000. That's a lot of money, okay? You're going to have air compressors if you're going to have any type of animations. So, I mean, this just keeps adding up, okay? I don't even need to keep track here, man. We're easily up to $450,000, okay? Guess what else you need? You don't have any costumes, you don't have any masks, you don't have any makeup or anything. Now, I've spent about $25,000 a year on just makeup. When it comes to masks, I mean, I'm always buying more. I probably spend between masks and makeup and costumes, every year I probably spend a good $50,000, okay? Now, when you don't have any, you might spend you know, $50,000 to $60,000, okay, just to get enough to run your haunted house. Are you starting to see how this adds up? Now, when it comes to your haunted house, how detailed do you want this to be? Because you probably need 2 really good scenic painters. You're probably going to need to employ, because you're building from scratch now, you probably need a team of about 8 to 12 people to work on this thing for a good 6 months. So you can literally sit down, put pen to paper, how much are you paying these people per hour, and how much is this going to cost to work 6 to 8 months to build this thing from scratch. I mean, you're going to be into it for 6 figures, okay? Now you get to the part about, hey, we want props. Okay, so let's just say you get antique type props. To fill out 20,000 square feet, I mean, just rolling around, I would highly suggest you go out and buy a truck, a box truck, and you're just constantly picking props to fill this thing up. But you could easily spend $50,000, $60,000 in just junky props to put everywhere. But now you say, oh, I want some animatronics, I want some latex figures from Ghost Ride or Unit 70 or whoever. You know, they've got some of these things that cost $10,000. Literally, when you're building from scratch, you could spend any amount of money. So here's my suggestion. If you built a haunted mansion, you could spend a little bit more on authentic props, okay, and deck this out as a really authentic haunted mansion and skip all the latex props and latex, and you could do that and you could still build a really good haunted house. And if you're doing a haunted forest, you could easily skip all the animations and everything else and just really focus on the forest aspect, the natural settings. And there's also a lot of places you might rent where you could literally play off of a lot of the natural settings. Like I recently went to USS Nightmare, and although they have a lot of animations and props and things of this nature, a lot of the best stuff there is the natural setting, the realistic props of the actual ship itself. So hopefully you're starting to see that how much does it cost to build a haunted house? I can't give you an answer because I'd have to know what kind of haunted house you have, where are you building it, what kind of natural things are already in place that you could utilize. Do we have a budget? Because, hey, if we have a budget, that's going to really push you in a certain kind of theme, okay? And then you just go after those authentic type of props. But, you know, then we get into a whole nother category called miscellaneous, okay? Paint, screws, and everything in between. You literally could rack up $100,000 with no problem, okay? Just going to Home Depot, going to Lowe's over and over and over and over again, buying materials. Easily could spend $100,000. Let me tell you something. When I'm getting my haunted house ready for the Halloween season, I have an American Express Platinum card. And there's not a month that goes by that the bill isn't $50,000 plus, okay? And I would strongly suggest that you get a American Express Platinum card to run your haunted house, because you can sell all your advertising through it. You can run all your advertising through it. And then you might be getting a bill over $100,000 just to operate. Because don't forget, when you're building a haunted house, you got the cost of building it, but then you have the cost of operating it. So you have the labor, you have taxes, you have rent or a mortgage, or maybe you already own the property, who knows. But you also have porta potties. There's so many things in between. Security, cops to work the lines, okay, to work outside. I mean, like I can tell you, for security, just in cops alone, I probably spend $70,000 a year. It adds up. That all adds up. So anyway, so this question was posed to me: how much does it cost to open a haunted house from scratch? So I thought I would discuss it, and I would say here's the general answer. If you're just renting a building, and a building would be more expensive than, say, doing a forest and just kind of sort of decking it out. But I would say to do an interior haunted house, to do it right, you're going to do it right the first time, you better have at least $1 million. Okay? Because it's not just about building the haunted house, it's also about making sure you have enough money to open. Okay? And you know what? There's not a video that I do that doesn't go by where I get a phone call. And then you know it's my phone because it's got the Halloween theme. But you're going to spend a lot of money getting open. Hiring actors. You got to pay the actors. You got to launch marketing. You got to make a website. You got to pay somebody to do that. You got to pay somebody to help you with the marketing, unless you do it yourself. Okay, you got to make promo videos and have marketing materials, digital marketing materials. All this stuff costs money, and it all adds up, and it adds up fast. So if you have less than $1 million to get this business up and running, I would say you are grossly underfunded, and you could get to that point where you get open and you could be so heavily in debt that you can't pay the bills. Does this make sense? Now, if you're doing a haunted forest, or say you're going to have a haunted corn maze, you could do this much cheaper. You might be able to do it for $250,000. And you know how you would do that? You would literally go out and start picking and buying every single old truck and every single piece of old farm equipment you can find to be props. And you could probably spend very little in putting this together. Sound, lighting, and put most of the money into costumes and actors and a website, don't forget, and all that. But you still probably would spend minimum $300,000, $400,000 to get that sucker open. That's minimum. Now, if you're talking about doing something that's super cool, you're going to get into the $600,000, $700,000 range. And a lot of people are going to watch this and go, Larry, my haunt only does 5,000 people. We only gross $250,000. How in the hell could you justify spending this kind of money? Listen, you're asking me, how much does it cost to build a really good haunted house and cross every T and dot every I and do it the right way? And I can only say this to all you people out there that are doing 5,000 people, 6,000 people, you're not going for it. Okay? I actually met a guy this last weekend, and maybe he'll watch this video, and he was telling me about his business. And then you know what I told him to do? Go get a loan for $1.2 million, okay? And I explained to him exactly what I would do if I took over this property. And I just wanted to tell everybody, since I've been helping promote Fear Ticket to the haunted house industry so that you can actually save a ton of money and get a better product at the same time and create features that actually can help your business grow and make more money. I have been asked by Patty, and she knows this is true, multiple times to talk to a different haunt owner to help them with their business. And you know what every one of these haunts had in common? They do 5,000 or 10,000 or less people. And I try to explain to them in each and every single circumstance how you could jump from 5,000 to 7,500, and by using a calculator, we can see that if you take this and you invest that and you do this and do that, that just jumping your business by 2,500 is worth the risk of bigger investment. It's just common sense, okay? But yeah, I told this guy to go get a loan for $1.2 million because he tells me that they want $600,000 to buy the property. Now me, I'm not going to invest a ton of money into grow this business if I don't own the property. Like, for example, building 10 buildings. which you could easily do. You don't even need a foundation. It could still be gravel, but that way you could build haunted houses and expand this business and increase the revenue, increase attendance. But your haunted houses could be built into a permanent structure, which in the end saves you a ton of money and a ton of time. Now, I used to work for Tampa Bush Gardens, and I tried to convince them that it would be in their best interest to build permanent buildings, put these haunts in once and leave them, and maybe retheme them or something, but just generally leave it. And oh no, that would cost a ton of money. Well, guess what they did like 3 years later? They said, Larry, you were right, we built the buildings, okay? Because it's already paid for itself in like 3 seasons by not having to take things down, put it back up 500,000 times. There's no money to be made in haunts where you have to set everything up from scratch every single year. There's maybe a few that do okay, specifically maybe in Los Angeles, but in most cities, you're not going to do well when you have to set everything up completely from scratch, take it back down, store it, and do it again. Your haunt's never going to get good because you spend most of your time just setting up the infrastructure again and again and again and again and again. So it actually makes more sense to spend more money up front to build some sort of structure so that you can install it once and you can always improve it, and it'll save your setup time and it'll help you grow faster. So that costs money, but not as much as you would think. Just a simple tin building, seriously, it's nowhere near what you would think. Okay, you could probably get one of those built for 30 grand. Okay, and it would save you hundreds of thousands in the long run, believe it or not. But with all that being said, as we come back here to Creepyworld's Haunted Midway, it has taken years to develop everything you see. And I would say that every year that we build Creepyworld and we set it up, I probably have somewhere in the neighborhood of $300,000 to $400,000 to get this thing open. That includes new attractions. That includes just the redundancy of setting things back up. So you maybe have $400,000 into it every year, okay? Minimum. So when you've been open for 10 years, that means you've got $4 million in it. But there was more money spent year 1, year 2, year 3, and then it even, you're spending tons of money every single year. But you're talking about doing it the right way. You can't make money in the haunted house business doing 5,000 people, okay? You're just kind of sort of rinse and repeat. You're not really growing. You're not getting where you want to go. So the only way to do that is one way and one way and only. And that's to believe in what you're doing, make the investment, and go for it. And some of you people are going to say, well, I'm in a small market. Hey, some of the biggest haunts in the industry that do the most people are in really small communities. Haunts, good haunts, are destination attractions. That means people will drive to them. They'll drive 40 miles, 50 miles, 60 miles to go to a good one. Why wouldn't they? You got people in Nebraska hopping on a plane and going to Orlando's horror nights. So you think they wouldn't drive 60 miles to go to a really good haunted house? They will. The marketing range for a haunted house is probably 75 miles. Okay? You're not like a bowling alley. Nobody's going to drive 75 miles to go bowling. Okay? But they will for a haunted house because the good ones might be further away. And so if they're going to spend $30, $40, $50 to go to a haunted house, they want to go to the best one. So you can't be so caught up in where your haunt is. What you got to be caught up in is having the best haunt and then having the best marketing materials. That's the key. And so as your attendance grows, you can continue to improve your haunt and invest in it. But how much does it cost to get in the haunted house business? How much does it cost from scratch? It could be any amount of money, because when you go to Transworld, you can see you could spend $1 million pretty fast. So you have to be really smart, and you got to have a plan. But once you have a plan and you initiate it, I always say the same thing. It's all about getting the foundation put in so you have something to build on. And that's the root, the meat and potatoes of building a good haunted house is a good foundation. For example, a haunted mansion, spooky walls, spooky interiors, creepy scenes with a lot of authentic props that you would imagine would be in a haunted house. That's called the foundation. Adding all the cool special effects and all the cool stuff, that could come later. So it really just depends on what theme you're going to do as well. I mean, if you're going to do a hillbilly theme, heck, you could go around and pick all kinds of really cool props from all over the place. Busted up combines to broken tractors and everything in between. And you could decorate it and make it look pretty authentic for very little. Again, it just depends on what kind of haunt you're going to build. So anyway, so thanks for watching the video, and I hope anybody who's opening or operating or visiting a haunted house has a great Halloween. October the 1st is now. We are into October, and we're about to kick it off. So make sure you find a haunted house near you at hauntworld.com, and if you ever do get in the haunted house business, make sure you use fearticket.com, the best ticketing solution in the haunted house industry. And with that being said, happy Halloween, everybody. And October's here, and my only suggestion to you is this. Whenever you find a break, get in your car and go see some haunted houses. The best way to learn is to see these things in person, not on YouTube videos. You have to physically go, because that's how you absorb it. It's like liquids. You can't absorb liquids unless you are a sponge and you put it on the liquid and it sucks it up. And so you can get some information from watching YouTube videos, but it's a whole nother level when you get in your car or you get on a plane and you go visit. So with that being said, everybody, happy Halloween. And I will say that I will be doing some traveling, and we might make 2 more rounds to go visit haunts and do behind the scenes tours. So hopefully we get a chance to do that. And we look forward to the Halloween season. Then we move forward. And I have been thinking very hard about Transworld, whether or not I can do some sort of haunt tour, or whether I can't, whether I will, whether I won't. These are all things that I have to start figuring out now. And so when you're planning for your haunted house, for me, I want to get open, and then immediately while we're opening, I transform the thought process to one thing and one thing only. What does 2025 look like? All right? And how much money are we going to spend? It's kind of crazy, because Halloween is an addiction. It never really lets you get rich, okay? It just keeps sucking you dry. With that being said, everybody, we'll see you on the other side.